Now YouTubers, today we're going to service a 1.4 Volkswagen Golf. We have to do it slightly differently how I would normally do it, because obviously as you can see from my other videos, we've just replaced the big end bearings and we would put the sun back on and stuff. So normally what you would do is you'd heat up your engine first, get it nice and hot, and then drain your oil out. We did that in the previous video, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put the oil in. Which is obviously slightly different to how I do it, but you get the idea. We're going to put the oil in first and put an oil filter on, then we're going to start this to make sure we've got everything right from what we did on the previous videos, and then we're going to crack on with the service. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and let's see what happens. Now, first thing we're going to do is put the new oil filter on. As you can see with this type, you can use two different tools. You can either use the ordinary thing to take it off, you use that one, or with this particular type, you can use a 27mm socket, and that actually goes on there. Obviously that's only to take it off, you don't use these to put it back on. So I'm going to use the socket because it's just a bit easy to get into with this. As you can see, it's down here. Just see the end of it where my finger is. So all we're going to do is put the socket on and turn it off. Now what we're going to do is just going to put this underneath just to catch any little bit of oil that's come out. I'm just going to place it underneath. Now hopefully you can see that in there. And all I'm doing is literally turning it off. That's how tight this is now. Jesus Christ. Now that was too tight. So now loose enough for me to get my hands. You see that? You just see it there. So I'm just going to literally turn it off with my hands. And that's it. Now the good thing to do is check your new one, make sure. To be honest, the height doesn't really matter. If the new one's a bit longer, that's okay. The most important thing is that this is the same size and the threads are the same size. And the easy way to check with that is literally put it on top and then you can actually measure. Now these happen to be the same name, so you can actually check the numbers and the numbers match. So get a bit of oil on the seal and just go around and then replace it. Right, so as you can see where it needs to go, and you just simply put it on, spin it with your hand. Now what you want to make sure here is your hands are oil free and you just get it as tight as you can with your hand. You don't want to use any tools or anything on here. Now this one's in a bit of an awkward spot, but you can get it with your hand. Now that's all you need. That's it. Another thing that I like to do is I like to keep the oil cap off. It just means, because obviously there's no oil in the engine now and you might forget. And if the oil cap is off, then you definitely know to put engine oil in. Now what we're doing is, this is a 1.4 and I know I can put at least 3 litres of oil in this. It's maybe not going to be enough, but I know it's going to be enough to start it and to have no problems. Now also what you want to do is, we've got the right oil here, we've got the right Volkswagen spec oil for this car. So what you also want to do is either check in your book or check online to what oil you need, because there's, like I said, there's loads of different types. There's no point going through all. So we're going to put 3 litres in this first. Just literally pour it in. You might have to pour it a bit slow because sometimes it can bubble up over the top, which you don't want. Now, like I said, this is not going to be maybe enough oil. What you have to do is you have to start the car, let the oil light go off, leave it running for a few more seconds, just to let the oil go in the oil filter, let it settle, and then you can top it up with however much you need. But this now is the moment of truth, because obviously we've replaced the big end bearings and we've done a lot of work on this, so we now need to basically start this, make sure it's not going to rattle itself apart. We've also got to make sure that the sump isn't leaking, and we've also got to make sure the oil filter isn't leaking. So we're going to start this, and let's hope it's okay. Now I'm just obviously playing back the video we've just done, and that engine sounds really tappety, but don't worry about that. Obviously the camera's picking it up slightly different to how you would do it with your ears, but you're going to expect that, because obviously we've had that, there's been no oil in that car for about 3 days, and the sump's been off, so everything is completely down. But after a few minutes of it running, obviously the oil and everything pumped around the engine and it died down, so that's good. So obviously when you initially start it, if you do all that work to it, don't worry about the slight tappety noise. Now if it continues, you know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, then yeah, you've maybe got a problem. But if it stops after a couple of minutes, you're golden. Time for the fan belts. Just to let you know, we've started this engine, we've left it ticking over for about half an hour, and there's no leaks in the sump. It's obviously a good sign. The sump isn't leaking. That's what we really wanted to see. And our big end bearing seemed to have fixed our particular noise problem. Like I said, I'm not saying you have big end bearing problems. You could have problems with your tappets. But we had a problem with the big end bearings, and that's fixed our problem. The sump's not leaking, so the next thing we're going to do is change the fan belt. And basically, fan belts on these are really easy. You need a 16mm ratchet and socket, and the tensioner is here. What you do is, let's see, twist this so it goes the other way, and as I lift that up, as you can see, it's lifting the fan belt. So basically you lift it up as far as you can, the fan belt then comes off. And it's always best just to visualize where the fan belt actually was and what pulleys it around and exactly where it is around. Now, the easy way to know you need a new fan belt, if you see the cracks in there as I squeeze it together, see all them cracks? That's the old belt. And then the new belt, I squeeze it together, there's no cracks at all. So this just goes back on the same way. The way I like to do it is put it on the pulleys first. If you don't get killed by that. And leave it on the bottom pulley like that with your finger. Obviously it won't fit over. Then, so I'm on the crankshaft pulley, I'm on the tensioner, and I'm on the alternator. Now as I come to loosen that, I can then just literally put it over as I'm going up further with my fingers. Now, make sure it's on properly, release that, simple as that. That's the fan belt done. Sorted! Cameraman nearly killed himself. That's it. So what we need to do now is check the oil level and top it up with oil, and that's the next thing. Right. Dipstick there, wipe the dipstick, make sure it's clean. Now on this particular dipstick, hopefully, can we see, let's turn the camera to me so I can see what I'm doing. Now you can see it there, you can see this kind of etched pattern in the middle. The bottom of it is the minimum mark and the top of it is the maximum mark. Now we will check this now, but it's best, normally between the minimum and maximum on a normal engine is about 1 litre. This one might be slightly less because this is a 1.4, so normally 1.6 upwards is about 1 litre. The best thing to do is just add a little bit at a time. It's always easier to add more than it is to take away. So what we're going to do is we're going to dip it, we're going to see what we're at. Now, you see that we're on the minimum mark. So what I'm going to do is, just for safety's sake, I'm going to add half a litre and then check it again, just in case. Now, this is half a litre, so we're going to put this in. I think it's going to need a little bit more than this, but like I said, it's easier to add than it is to take away. Now, do that 30 seconds or so just for it to fully go down. Dipstick in again. Now we're bang on there on that mark. Hopefully, I don't know if you can see that with it being fresh oil. It's about, well, you can't really see it on camera, but we're right on that mark, so that's absolutely perfect. So that took 3.5 litres. So now we know we've got oil in. The next thing we're going to do is the air filter. Welcome back to our BW Golf. Right, what we're going to do now is we're going to do the air filter and the spark plugs, and basically you have to take off this cover here. It's held on by 4 Allen key bolts. So even though these are some more here, they're not actually holding it on. There's only these 2. No, we're looking. So this one, this one, this one, and this one. So we need to crack all these off. Take off the cover. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I mean, I don't see the point of having all these bolts on it, to be honest. It's not exactly a heavy part of the car, but anyway. This then comes off, and now you can foul that on the floor. There's your spark plugs, obviously underneath there, and this is your air filter. So we're going to do the air filter first, and all you need, I think this is more, just a Phillips screwdriver, 3 bolts, and 3 bolts on the front, 2 bolts on the back. So we'll get that, and we'll get it off. Get it off. Now take off the old bolts. Phillips head screw, shall I say? It's a bit overkill, if you ask me. All these bolts. Actually 3 on the back as well. One here, there's 6 all together. There's actually 7. This one's broke. Now that just comes off. Just move that to the side. Now, so you have 3 bolts along the back, 3 bolts here, and there's actually another one there, but that's snapped. Alright, here's your air filter, so we just took off the top. Now, to be fair, it's not bad, don't get me wrong, but if you see the old one compared to the new one, you can see a difference. The other good thing to do is obviously make sure it's right. Now, obviously these ones is fairly obvious to see if it's right, you know, it is a weird looking thing. The other good thing to do, especially with Volkswagens, now this one's good, but there could be a lot of crud and crap in there, so you can actually clean that at the same time. Now, to be fair to this one, it's good. Also, you can get an airline or so you can blow out all the crap in the actual box here, in the actual box, but that's good as well. So literally, with that, just put it back, simple as that. Make sure it's all in it correctly. it's not overlapping or anything like that. And it's as simple as that. And you can put everything back the opposite way you put it on. Again, I like to start from the middle and work your way out. The middle one in, middle one back. Now, spark plugs. You need a 16mm spark plug socket and a ratchet, obviously. Now, what you want to do is you have to be careful with taking these out. There's little clips here, and you can just lift up little clips. Just releases the wires. Now, it's best with a flat blade screwdriver. You can very, very carefully just get the screwdriver in there and lever these up, but be very careful because you can easily break them. So you just want to lever it up, and there we go, it's correct. Again, if you're not sure, just do one at a time, then you can't really get anything muddled up. And literally then just put it down and open it. Simple as that. Now it's got a little rubber grommet in there to hold the plugs. Now you can see from them plugs, to be fair, just turn the old gamma around to make sure I know what. To be fair, they're kind of like a crispy colour, and that's good. That means it's doing what it's supposed to do. Now the good thing to do with the new plug is just compare it, because this is a Denson plug. And we've got a NGK plug here, so obviously different makes. The first thing, obviously, it's got 3 electrodes, and the old one's got 3 electrodes. That's obviously the first thing, the good thing. So they've both got 3 electrodes. Let's just put them up there. See, they've both got 3 electrodes. That's a good thing. Then the next thing you want to do is make sure they're the same height. The threads are the same height. And again, the threads are the same height. So basically you don't want one to be higher than the other like that. So them threads are both the same height. Just get that to zoom in there. So, and that's it, that's all you basically need to do. But the most important thing is, you can check the electrode gap, but to be fair, they come preset. So you don't really need to worry about that. What you want to do is, you want to put these in by hand first. Do not put any sort of air tool or absolutely anything in, because if you cross thread this, you're in a lot of trouble. You just put it down there and you screw it as far as you can by hand first. It's going to go there's going to go quite a lot of threads, so I'm just screwing that by hand. I now know that that is definitely not cross threaded. I still go, now I can't go any further. And all you're doing is just a nice little nip. That's all you're doing. So you put it on, I'm even doing it on hand. Just a nice little nip. Now it's getting tight. Now, that's it. That's all you need to do. Do not over tighten these. Do not cross thread them. Simple as that. And you repeat it 3 times. Simple. I'm just going to, for the sake of it, just pop all these out together. Keep them all out the way of each other. Now it's just a good idea, once you get them all together, just to check them. Just to make sure, you zoom in there, they all look the same colour, they're not black. If one of them's really black, then you could have a problem with fuel issue or something like that. Your car might not be running properly. And you can even see around the whites of the plug, they're all kind of brown right at the bottom. See that brown? That's obviously they're old as well. And the electrode gap in the middle, the actual point in the middle, if that's worn or completely gone out, then you're going to have a problem with them as well. To be fair, these plugs are perfect in the sense of they're working fine. We're going to replace them, but that's them. And what I like to do, take them all out. And I like just to screw them all in by hand first, all of them together. And then give them all a squeeze together. Again, just do it with one hand. Nice little nip. As you can see, I'm not using the full force of the ratchet. I'm not going here because you can easily over tighten it. I'm using the top of the ratchet, so it's actually hard to over tighten it. I'm not doing that, which is going to over tighten it. And that's it. Then you just put the coil packs back in, obviously in the right order. You can't, to be fair, you can't really put this coil pack in the wrong place. You can put it in there, but then this one wouldn't fit down here, so you can't really go wrong. I just put them all in loosely first. Make sure the wire is in behind where it should be, so it's all nicely settled. And then literally just give them a good push, like that. You can hear them click in. Then back down. It broke. And that's it. Now what I'm going to also do is just start this. And if we have an issue, there's no point putting everything back together. Just start it, make sure it's ticking over fine. So we'll just do that now. We're sorted! Right, just another handy tip we're going to do. I'm just going to write, I'm going to remove this. And we're going to write on it when it was serviced, because this car doesn't have a service light popping up. So got some Tipex. I'm just going to write FC for full service at 122. What's the mileage?
346.
346. Now let's go over that again. Now that just lets you know when you need to do it again. I personally would say 10,000 miles or once a year, whatever comes first. I know the newer modern cars say they can do more, but I personally wouldn't. So once a year or every 10 to 12,000 miles. That's normally the norm. Just put a bit of cleaner fluid in. Just like that. Just like that. And miss the bin when you throw it. Now, top it up with water. Rolling that. That's simple. Next thing to check is the expansion bottle. Now you might not be able to see it on camera, but again there's a minimum and maximum mark. The maximum mark happens to be here. So what we're going to do, we're going to check with our little gadget here, the antifreeze. Again, I can see it's pink, which is good. So you know there's a certain amount of antifreeze in there anyway. And as we can see, we have 4. Well, let's let the bubbles go. You could say, well, even 5. Yeah, 5 floating. So this is good to minus 37 degrees. And if it goes below that, well then you can have more problems. I'm not to worry about. So that's okay, and I can see that's on the maximum mark as well, so we don't need to do anything with that. If you did, obviously, just put a bit of water in it, or if there's not enough antifreeze, you just add a bit more antifreeze. That's kind of as simple as that. Next thing is the brake fluid. You can normally wobble these to see the brake fluid wobbling, but obviously you're not going to be able to see too well on camera. Again, maximum minimum mark, But to be honest, the norm with these is once you can see it at the top, so I can see that there, I know that's okay, so we're good with that as well. And the last thing is the power steering oil, which is here, and I need a flat-blade screwdriver, which I have. Have my lever bar, it's the same thing. Sometimes you might have to get like a vice grip, but not a vice grip, but like a
ruler.
Huh?
Ruler.
A ruler. Pliers or something, but be careful you don't break it, because these can be an absolute nightmare. As you can see, even that's not turning. You have to be careful because you can break this thing. Now on this particular one, the level is actually on the lid. So hopefully, now you can see the maximum and minimum mark, and that is on the maximum mark. So that's good. So that is a full service on a Volkswagen Golf. The other videos we did are the bottom ends on this, and we did doing the sump as well. So hope you enjoyed the video. Thumbs up if you like it, and see you for the next one.